Have you ever reached for your favorite coat, only to find one of its buttons dangling precariously, threatening to make a swift escape? It is a common frustration, leaving you wondering if the garment is still wearable. Well, let me assure you, mending a loose coat button is one of the simplest and most satisfying clothing repairs you can tackle. It takes just a few minutes and some basic supplies to restore your coat to its former glory, preventing a lost button and saving you from a trip to the tailor. Buttons come loose for a very simple reason: constant wear and tear. Every time you button and unbutton your coat, or even just move around while wearing it, tension is placed on the tiny threads holding that button in place. Over time, these threads weaken and fray, causing the button to become wobbly. Fixing it promptly prevents further damage and keeps your coat looking its best. So how do you fix it? First, gather your materials. You will need a sewing needle, ideally one with an eye large enough for your thread, but still thin enough to pass through your buttonholes. Next, choose a thread that matches your coat or the original button stitching. You will also need a pair of small, sharp scissors. A thimble can be helpful if you are new to sewing to protect your finger. To begin, cut about 18 inches of thread. Double the thread and thread it through your needle, then tie a secure knot at the end of the doubled thread. This makes your stitching extra strong. Position the button exactly where it belongs on your coat, ensuring it lines up correctly with the buttonhole. Now push your needle from the underside of the fabric, coming up through where the button will sit. Then, pass the needle through one of the buttonholes and back down through another hole, pulling the thread gently but firmly. Repeat this process about 4 to 6 times for each pair of buttonholes. For a four-hole button, you will likely create an X pattern or 2 parallel lines, depending on the button's design. After stitching through the buttonholes, bring your needle up from the fabric, but do not pass it through a buttonhole. Instead, wrap the thread tightly around the base of the button, between the button and the fabric, about 5 to 8 times. This creates a small stem, or shank, which allows the coat fabric to sit smoothly under the button when fastened. Push your needle back through the fabric to the underside. To secure your work, make a small knot on the underside of the fabric by stitching through a few threads and then looping the thread through the resulting small stitch before pulling tight. Repeat this knot once or twice more for extra security. Finally, trim the excess thread close to the knot with your scissors. Your button is now firmly attached and ready for action. Here is an insider tip for an even more professional finish. When creating the shank, place a toothpick or a small matchstick between the button and the fabric while you are wrapping the thread around the base. Remove it after wrapping, and you will have a perfectly sized, uniform shank. Also, if you are mending a button on a heavy coat, consider using a small backing button on the inside of the garment to distribute the stress and prevent tearing. You can also run your thread through a little beeswax before sewing to make it stronger and less prone to tangling. Taking just a few minutes to mend a loose button is more than just a quick fix. It is an act of mindfulness that extends the life of your beloved garments, saves you money, and reduces waste. It is a simple, empowering skill that aligns perfectly with a minimalist approach to your wardrobe, proving that a little care goes a long way in keeping your favorite things in excellent condition.